Hello everyone, Scott here with today's LinkedIn Live session, and I'm really excited about this one because I have an amazing young entrepreneur here for you today, Blaire Collie from Barras Property. Am I pronouncing that right? Barras?
It's Barras. You're close enough.
From the north of Scotland, so we pronounce things a little bit differently up there. So Blaire's going to tell you his story. An amazing young man doing amazing things in property, and I'll let him introduce himself. But when we saw each other nearly a year ago, it was actually, we were at a property thing. I was speaking and presenting there. Blaire was in the audience, and I was really impressed a year ago just about what he was doing in property. And that was the weekend before lockdown. Different world then, because that was a Saturday and Sunday, and we went into lockdown on the Tuesday, but we were the only ones at that whole hotel. So we were up at the Hilton at the airport in Edinburgh, and if it wasn't for us at the property conference, so everyone else was staying at home scared of the old coronavirus, apart from us die-hard property people. At a property conference, we were touching, shaking hands, hugging, and a few days later, the world totally changed. So that was the last time we met. But as always, excuse my dogs barking. So I want to hand over to you, Blaire. Give us a little bit of an introduction, and just start where you are in the world and tell us some of the amazing things you've been doing in property.
Hi everyone, I'm Blaire Collie. I'm 19, based up in Montrose in Scotland. I've been involved with property now full time for about 2 years. I work with my dad for our company's Barras Property. He's been involved for about 6 years now. And since last year when I met Scott and we've at that property conference, we took on a strategy called Rent to Buy, and it's completely changed our business. We are overwhelmed with the amount of business we are getting and the amount of support we're getting from everyone around us, and it's just been phenomenal this year throughout the whole pandemic and everything.
Cool, so a success story. Now, people might have missed this, but you're only 19 years old, is that right?
Yes, I am only 19.
And sometimes when you see property duos, and before this, we go to events, networking, every few weeks would be big events, and you see people and they say, this is my son or this is my daughter, and you normally see these people tagging along just because the mum or dad's interested, but that isn't the case in your example, because Alex, you and your dad are heavily involved, business partners, and no offence to your dad, but you're the driving force behind this. So I think he would be proud to say that you aren't just a tag along at events, you are actively involved in the business and definitely a property entrepreneur. So well done. So to one, be in property for a few years at 19 is pretty amazing. All the confidence and experience you've got is amazing, but to have done something positive and build your business forward during this pandemic is amazing. So you mentioned Rent to Buy. Let the audience know a little bit about what Rent to Buy is, because it's not a new concept, but it's definitely not mainstream like buy to rent or rent to rent or serviced accommodation or HMOs. So give us a little insight into what Rent to Buy is.
Rent to Buy is basically like a standard buy to let, but every month a tenant will pay an extra amount per month that builds up over a minimum of 7 to 10 years period that becomes a 10% deposit, so they can buy the house at the end of the term. So it's a scheme to get people that either don't have a good credit score, can't get a mortgage, haven't got enough books in their own company that they're self-employed, to be able to get on the property ladder and get a start and get somewhere that they can call their own home.
Nice. So you know why I love this strategy, because there's people are in property to make money, but this actually gives people homes that otherwise wouldn't be able to get a home. So the purpose is people rent, they pay their rent money and they rent it as normal, but they pay a little bit extra to build up that deposit, and they are guaranteed the ability to buy that home. And what period is that? 7 years normally?
We've gone minimum of 7 and maximum of 10, just so it gets the most out of for us as a business. So we're getting the capital appreciation, because anything less than 7 and it's slightly just not too worth it. But then anything more than 10, then we're just taking the mickey out of the tenant, and that's not what the whole scheme's about. And it also gives them the chance, if they've got a CCJ or really bad credit score, they can build that up completely over that term so they've got a clean slate by year 5, year 6, and they can build from there, and they've got a great chance of getting a better mortgage because they've got a better credit score.
Nice. And definitely in Scotland, the rights that tenants are getting more and more, and landlords are getting less and less. And there's currently eviction bans. And as landlords, we tend, and letting agent, I mean, we've got 500 odd properties we manage. So we see it from the landlord and the property owner's point of view. But from the tenant's point of view, it's actually, the rental world's quite scary, because you could get given notice at any time by your landlord. You could have put your care and love and attention into a property. You see, I've got my wee pals here helping me, as normal.
As always, yeah.
Yep. Hello. So I always look at it from a landlord's protection point of view, because that's my job as a letting agent. But from a renter's point of view, you could do a property up, you could be a great tenant for years and then get booted out. I say booted out, legally moved on by the landlord for whatever reason. But for tenants, if they're doing a rent to buy scheme with you, there's no way you're going to sell that property at the end. So it is more of a partnership rather than just like a landlord taking money off a tenant. Yeah,
so if you ask a tenant what's their biggest pet peeve, it's a landlord. You ask the landlord what the biggest pet peeve is, a tenant. With this scheme, it makes we're almost now becoming counsellors, because the stories that they tell us is phenomenal. They say, "Oh, look, I'm in this situation," which you never hear from a tenant normally. You say, like, "Here's a buy-to-let, go and live in it." But now you're getting to the real story, and you understand why they need a house like this and why it means so much to them. And they don't want to move. They'll never want to move again, because that's their home, and we don't want them to move. Yeah. The only way they will lose out on this property is if they don't pay the rent or they don't keep up with the maintenance side of it. And from what we've seen, no one's going to do that. They're all so keen to keep this house because they've been given this opportunity that's life-changing to them. So they're never going to want to do anything bad to jeopardise that.
For sure. So the landlord gets a safer option and the tenant gets a safer option. There's some amazing comments coming in already. So there we go. I'll show you the other one. So the sun's shining here, so I'm going to get the sun on my face. Now, I remember I had a perfect credit rating and you've seen between 7 and 10 years. I had a perfect credit rating, and we moved office probably 5 years ago, and I missed a mobile phone bill, and it was for 3, and it was $7.99 a month, and I missed it twice because it went to the old office. And I didn't even know I had that phone, right? So that affected my credit score and put it down from 999 to like 700 or something. And I am waiting 6 years to get that off. And it's the only thing, otherwise I would have a perfect credit rating. But that one stupid mistake, and it was $7.99, has affected my credit rating, and I am waiting and that coming off. So if people can't get a mortgage now, and they may not have a deposit, they can literally secure the property to buy the one that they want within their budget, and they can wait until they're mortgageable. And again, I think 6 years things fall off your credit rating, because I've been waiting 5.5 for that mobile phone bill to disappear. So that's given people with bad credit a great opportunity to get a property.
Yeah, exactly.
Strangely enough, the business before Pillow, when I set up, that's why I love rent to buy. When I set up my first property management business in 2005, I wasn't going to do a letting agency. I was going to do rent to buy. And in 2005, it was a relatively unknown concept. And so I've loved it for 15, 16 years. The difference being is I ended up getting pulled into the normal property management. We didn't do any rent to buys, and here I am 16 years later, having done nothing with that amazing concept. Whereas since I've met you, when you were starting off in this in March last year, you've done more in a year than I ever did. And I had a 15-year head start on you, because I had all the paperwork and everything in 2005. And I remember sitting on the floor thinking, there's so many letting agents and property management companies. We need to do something different. And rent to buy was probably brand new then, definitely here. So you've had an amazing year. Share some of the successes and things you've done over the last year. While everyone else was in lockdown doing nothing, you've been forging ahead with a strategy.
Yeah, first one was our underperforming SA. It just wasn't in the. It was actually you guys. It was through you guys, Pill Partners. It just didn't have the footfall in the town, and we realised it would actually make more money as a standard buy to let. But when we came down in March to the 6-figure touchstone, that's all changed. Went to rent to buy, and it's now cash flowing at north of £500 a month, and that is crazy for us. But that's given that young couple a great start. They were expecting a baby. They said, we've got nowhere to live. This will be perfect for us. Yeah. And they lived their life on social media like all young couples do. And we got a message the day their son was born privately to say, thank you so much for giving us a home to bring our son home to. And that just melted our hearts. That just made it, it's reassured us that what we're doing is amazing. Yeah. And since then, we've taken another of our buy-to-lets and changed it to rent to buy. We are now managing 7 on behalf of other landlords, and we've bought 1 for ourselves, from a 1 for you, 1 for me with an investor as well.
Nice.
And that latest one we've just bought, the tenant is now getting a say on everything. The refurb gets getting a full refurb, stripped right back, and the tenant's now telling us, look, I like this or like that, and they know they have to pay the extra, and they're willing to do that, and they're willing to upgrade their property from the start so they get a better valued property from day one. And it's just amazing to see how normal people, normal tenants are now changing that mindset without even being in the home. They've changed their mindset to home ownership from day one, not even day one. And it's just amazing for us to see.
Well, a good few points to come out of that. Been looking at new builds, and in new builds you get to perhaps pick the tiles and the style of certain things in the flooring. So that buy-in at the start and giving tenants that opportunity does make it feel more like a partnership, like a house ownership. They're maybe not buying it now, but they will buy it in the future. So that's pretty amazing. And net cash flowing £500 for an SA unit that in your area would not have been able to make a lot of money during lockdown. You've changed that strategy, thinking lockdown's here. We've changed that strategy to rent to buy and took something that would have probably hemorrhaged you a couple of £100 a month. So going from, loss to profit during lockdown is a great strategy. So yeah, well done on that. And getting tenants now, if there's any landlords watching this, and you did say at the start, sometimes it's tenant versus landlord, landlords hate tenants, tenants hate landlords. To get tenants phoning you up and basically appreciating you is an amazing thing. I think maybe 5,000 tenants over the years I've seen in the business, maybe more. And there's a handful of times when tenants actually thank the landlords, because sometimes landlords don't like spending money on their properties. Sometimes tenants don't like looking after properties, and it's sometimes a battle. And tenants sometimes resent their landlords, sometimes for legitimate reasons, sometimes for personal reasons. But for this, you have a tenant, but they're going to buy that house off you. And I think that's an amazing strategy, because if they're renting it for 7 years, what have you found have you had any of your people damaging it or doing any, they take ownership of the repairs, is that right?
Yes, under the option arrangement, which actually sits on top of the standard Scottish PRT, they're now responsible for maintenance. So as a landlord, usually you'd have to shell out for the boiler, you'd have to repaint it, the kitchen door falls off, you've got to fix that. No, that is everything apart from the actual building's insurance is now the tenant's responsibility. But so far we've had no one damage it. We've had one that he struggled with the payments, and we're working with that. They've fallen behind, but we're trying to get that back, and it's going a bit niggly, but that's 1 out of 10. And 1 out of 10 in a rent to buy. But how many times do you have in buy to lets? We've had our one in Edinburgh, which we changed this, and we moved them in August, September. We had someone pay no payment for over a year. We've got one in Brecon, still currently not. He hasn't paid all year because of COVID. He hasn't paid all year, and that's 2 of our only 5 buy to lets we had. So that's already 50% less issues.
Yeah.
In our first year, and it's a great strategy for us, and it just gives us more security back in the properties as well, and gives us more faith that we will generate money, and it keeps the business going, because you can't rely on your buy-to-lets you can't project, because I might have tenants for 3 years, but you might have 5 or 6 tenants over that 3 years.
Yep.
So you can never gauge with a rent buy to let, but now the rent to buy just reassures us that we know in 7 years we will have this X cash flow and net profit. So
yeah, well, one of the things that's a standard, if you ask any landlord this question, they know the answer. What happens when a tenant is in rent arrears and you go to evict them? What happens when they go to the local authority or go to citizen advice or go to shelter? What does everybody say? They say to the tenant, don't pay rent, don't move out until you're literally, even if you get court orders, even if you get the court documents to move out, don't move out, just stay there until you literally get ripped out. And the unfortunate thing we've seen so many times with the scale of management business we have, you see people literally getting ripped out the properties by the sheriff's officers. They're grabbing a baby and his many personal belongings because the advice they get from support organisations like local authorities, shelter, is don't move out, don't pay any rent arrears, don't pay anything, pay it towards your next property because you're going to need a deposit. And that advice is absolutely criminal. Again, it's an absolute sin that this happens, but those tenants are advised to move out and they've no real reason to pay rent, because why would they pay rent arrears for a property I'm not going to be in? Whereas with your strategy, tenants are less likely to not pay the rent in the first place. And if they do fall into arrears because, hey, it's a crazy world and different things happen, losing jobs, different family circumstances, benefit changes, they're much more likely to try and make an effort to pay those arrears off.
Yeah.
And if tenants that aren't going to buy the property, if a tenant takes your property and pays some money, what happens if they decide not to buy the property? They've built up a little deposit. Who gets to keep that? Do they get it back? Do they get to keep it?
So there's actually 4 options you've got as a rent to buy. Option 1, you complete, you go through the whole thing, you say, I'm going to buy it. That's perfect. That's what everyone wants. That's what we want, what tenants want. That's number 1, you buy it. Number 2 is you say, look, I'm not ready to buy this property. Can I extend the rent? And we say, yeah, that's no worries. But at that point, we will actually increase the rent, because I didn't say earlier, but what we do to give to the tenants, we fix the rent a complete period of time. You get a fixed rent, so you can budget from day one. Your rent's going to be this, your top is going to be that. That's all you've got to worry about. Option 3, you say, look, I don't want to buy it, but I'm going to put it in my sister's name, my brother's name, my mum's name. You novate the name, and that's perfectly legal. You can do that. And option 4, you've got any point in time, is I want to walk away. But you do forfeit your top up. Yeah. But what we say is we're fair. We want to be fair landlords. We want to be as fair as possibly can. So if you walk away on bad terms and you say, right, I've trashed your house, I'm walking away, you're never going to get your money back. That's in the arrangement. We don't legally have to give you this money back. It is ours. But if you say, for example, you've got medical issues and you've got to go into care or something, we will evaluate that. We'll say, look, we'll take £1,000 to do a renovation or paint the house. But then we're fair, so we'll give you some of that back, and we'll say, look, You've been a great tenant, you've stayed in the house, you've kept it in immaculate condition, and we wanted you to buy this, but through no fault of your own, you can't buy this. We're going to be fair, and we're going to negotiate that and give them some money back, because we want, at the end of the day, we want to be fair, and it's all about helping tenants, because we've had stable rent for 7 years, no voids, no maintenance, and they've had a great home to live in, and now they're going to have to move. Then obviously there'll be some negotiation and money back. That's what we want to do.
Well, that sounds perfect, because not everybody's ethical, but you guys, I know I've met you and your dad. We've dealt with you in other capacities as well. By the way, I'd love to get you as part of the Pillow team up in your area. So I might be chatting to you after that. I'd love to bring you in. But I think you guys, your heart's in the right place. You're not there to maximise income, and there would be people sitting watching saying, well, I wouldn't give my tenants back anything, I would keep every single penny of the money, and that's just their personality and business strategy. So I know you and your dad are coming from the right place for this, and genuinely wanting to give people nice homes and options. So we're coming to the end, but what if you could pick an ideal owner to work with, so a property owner that you could help and add value to, what would you like? If they're watching this, who do you work best with?
Landlords that know what they want. They say, look, what we found is we've got a few landlords, and the ones that work best with us are the ones that reply. They're always communicating with us. That's the key in any business, is communication.
Yep.
And we say, look, we'll take your property on, but we need the title deed, we need your details, we need your solicitor's details, we know this. We send them a Trello board, and I'd say one or two have sent that back within a couple of days, and that's the people we want to work with. That makes our job so much easier. We don't have to keep chasing you saying, look, yep, we asked you for your mortgage statement. Where is it? We don't want to keep nagging you, because then it's going to start off on the wrong foot, and you're going to see us as being annoying. We're going to get annoyed at you because you're not helping us. But if you just look, here's the stuff, get on with it. That's what we're paid to do. We're paid to, we only take 7%, but we're paid to do that. You're paying us to go and deal with all the stuff, deal with tenants. That's our job. So don't interfere. Let us do our job, and you can sit back and know you've now got a place that's going to cash flow £400 or £500 a month for the next 7 to 10 years.
Nice.
And that just makes our job so much easier, and just also we get on better with you as well, because we see it more as a friendship partnership than a business partnership. So it's definitely ideal.
And what about a tenant? If there's anyone watching that thinks, I would like this rent to buy scheme, what makes a good rent to buy tenant for you?
Someone that has their head screwed on, that wants to be a homeowner, and they know that they will become the homeowner but can't do it at the moment, and they say, look, tell us, we've got a form that people fill out that's on our website. You can fill out the form, and it tells us how much you can earn a month, which you're able to pay for your rent and your deposit. If you know how much you can spend a month, and you know what you want, and you're realistic with your expectations, it's amazing. And that's what we want. That's every single one we've got at the moment. Their expectations are realistic. They know they can only afford this, and they can only get this style of house. But if they get that style of house and they go through this rent to buy, they're able to sell that and get a bigger house. But it's all about progression. But don't stretch yourself too far, because you're never going to be able to achieve that, and you're going to get upset with us when we say, look, you can't afford that. That house is going to be £1,500 a month, whereas a 3-bed, only £900 a month. So you need to gauge your expectations and willing to work with us, because we're here to help you, and we're wanting to help you. That's the whole point of the scheme.
Cool. And finally, we said at the start, you're an amazing young man, very keen, dedicated entrepreneur. If you had to have a tip for any young person looking to get started in business or property, what would it be?
Go and get training. Even if it's the free training on YouTube, go and indulge yourself with as much knowledge as you can about your chosen subject. And if you get to the point where you've got the money to go and get a mentorship or paid training, take that with both hands, because that's going to boost you so far. Our year wouldn't have been anywhere near as good, not even 10th as good as it is, without the mentorship and training we've had this year. And we've taken that. We've spent, it's a lot of money, but a lot of people say, oh, I've paid this money and I've got nothing from it, because you sat there and expected everyone to just give you stuff. It doesn't happen if you just sit there and you pay your trainer, or you watch YouTube videos and do nothing with it. You need to take the knowledge and put it in action, because nothing's free in life, and no one wants to go, oh, you're feeling upset today, here's a house, and go and do something with it. It's never going to happen. You've got to go and work for that. So just stick in and network up. Don't. So if your friends are saying, oh, what you're doing is rubbish, you're not doing it right. I've had a lot of that. My friends are saying, oh, what you're doing, you're not even getting paid. And I was like, yeah, but I'm building my own business. I'm not wanting to sound cocky, but I'm building my own business. My goal is now to retire before I'm 25. I retire in brackets, effectively. I want to be financially and time free by the time I'm 25, and I won't achieve that if I'm sitting on my arse doing nothing.
Well done.
You need to go out and get going and network up with people that want to help you, because the power of networking is phenomenal.
Yep. Well, listen, I wish I had your drive and ambition when I was your age, and my mistake was I did the opposite. I tried to do it alone and forge ahead. So I wish I had been given that advice when I was 19 as well. So I think everybody that's watching this will be massively inspired by you. So thank you for taking the time. I've put your details in. I will follow
Thank you very much for having me.
All your contact details in. really the Montrose area you're looking for clients, or anywhere?
No, we're covering all of Scotland now. We've got clients in Edinburgh, Alloa, Aberdeen. We're anywhere near. We've got Crieff. It's all over. We're tackling pretty much all over Scotland at this point.
Cool. So if anybody wants to work with Blaire, I think you'll see his values and ethics shine through on this call. So yeah, just get in touch. Well, thank you, Blaire. I'm sure we'll be in touch as well and do more future business together. But best of luck, and again, well done for being such an inspiration.
Perfect. Thank you very much for having me on for this opportunity. It's been great.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Bye.